Ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at a legendary firearm today. We are looking at an updated version of the Colt 1911. This is a Tisas Raider, which is built off of the patents the Turkish ended up getting from Colt, and it is built on the M45 CQB platform. Some of you guys will know this if you're military geeks and nerds. This is the updated 45 that the Marine Corps ended up using for a time, and it was really the Marine Corps' last breath, last hurrah of them having the 1911 platform before the Raiders ended up going over to the Glock. And I can't see that. I have used Glocks over my shooting time, and I've always hated them. I always hated the grip angle. I always hated the recoil impulse. I always hated the triggers. I much more loved the Beretta 92s, the M45, which is as close as I'm probably ever going to get to shooting one of these that's a real one. I've always loved other platforms a whole lot better, and this gun scratches that itch as best as I could afford. So the Tisas Raider, which is what this is a Turkish clone that comes in under like $800. I want to say they're like $600-700. They're a really nice gun. They came out 1 or 2 years ago. They have your 1913 rail here, and they do have your notches up here for your Trigicon or any other major night sights that you want to put on these. They do accept 10 round, 8 round, 7 round magazines for your standard 1911 capacity, but they are absolutely fabulous guns. The Marine Corps ended up using them for a little while, and because of mainly issues that I saw with the finish and a lot of the newer guys going and complaining about how heavy these things were, the Marine Corps unfortunately ended up surplusing them off. I honestly think that you could do a whole lot worse in a combat scenario than, especially one that you're supposed to be stealthy in, like the Marine Corps Raiders were. I think you could do a whole lot worse than a 45 with several magazines, especially one that you have a laser light combo or suppressor on, something like that. But you know, the Marine Corps ended up saying, hey, the Glock is good enough for the SEALs, so let's go ahead and run with it. But I can't see it. But we're not here to talk about the Glock. We're here to shoot some rounds with the Raider, which you guys had requested a second video on. So some of y'all will know, if you've been following me for a very long time, my first firearms video was on the Raider. I did a firearms review, and it was my opening to Belikov Outdoors. This was the gun that I shot in that, but I didn't put anywhere near the rounds that I'm probably going to put through it today in. So let's go ahead and stop the camera, and I'm going to turn it around, and we're going to actually get some shots of me firing this. So here we are back in the backyard again, and we've got your standard targets that I usually set up over here. We're not going to shoot the 22 poppers. You know, the 45 is a lot heavier round than those are designed for. We will go over there and shoot that water tank, and we are going to put some rounds on that paper. So let me adjust the camera just a little bit, and I'm going to step over to the side. Now we have 2 7-round magazines, 3 8-round magazines, and then 3 factory 8-round magazines that the Tisas Raider came on. We're going to shoot those, and I'm going to do some reloading on camera with those, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm going to try and take it nice and slow and be more accurate. Wait for this truck to pass. So in this section, you didn't really get to hear what I was saying, but I was basically saying that we were going to end up moving up, doing some lines of fire on these targets, that at the ranges that I was shooting initially, you really didn't get to hear or see your target, and that from closer up, like I ended up moving up to, is really where you'll end up engaging pistol targets most of the time, whether you're in a self-defense or military training scenario. Guys, this is basically where you're going to end up doing most of your fighting anyway. Anytime you're using any kind of combat handgun, or realistically a self-defense scenario, you'll be actually engaging targets at this range. Most of the time you're really not going to be shooting from way back here where I was initially shooting. You're going to be shooting at this distance or less. And for safety reasons, I don't like shooting at really, really up close, especially with stuff like what I'm shooting at with this seal back cabinet. You know, you can catch all kinds of shrapnel and debris off of that, so I don't like to shoot too much closer than this. But I will go and continue doing some lines of fire. Step over to the side so you guys can see the target. Go and act like there's an interaction or the individual's coming towards you. Draw. Magazines are empty. I'll go ahead and come back up here and pause the video. As you guys can see, I pretty thoroughly ended up using up this target. So as you're shooting fast, and a lot of times you will be in a defensive situation, you aren't going to be as accurate as you would like. And some of these actually say a lot to that. I was firing pretty fast at certain times. I'm not making excuses though. We all need to be more accountable. We all need to train more. We all need to practice more. And having this channel is me doing some of that, but in an informative way. So let's go and start showing some of these hits. I'm not going to count ones that are over here. I'm not going to count ones that would be way up here, probably past where his head stops. I'm not going to count ones that don't at least nick the ear. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 24 that are on the main body. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 that were off. I mean, I guess that isn't too bad. I'd like to have done better, but from an accuracy standpoint, you guys can pretty well see. Of course, I don't have a pistol bench that I could go and show you guys any kind of anything as far as super high grade accuracy. But guys, the Tisas Raider is actually a really nice, really accurate handgun. To me, personally, I would have liked a little bit better, lighter trigger. However, that's something a trigger job can change. because it's a 1911, you can go and get modifications done to that. I plan on getting night sights put on mine. But we're going to go and finish off the box of ammo that I have for the 45. And we're going to load up one more of those 7-round magazines and put the rest of those on that target. And we'll give some final thoughts. Well, guys, thanks to people like you guys, who are my viewers, who support these videos. We had a little bit more rounds than I thought left in the box, and we've got 200 rounds I was able to get and put back that we're going to do for another video later on. I've got a friend who you've seen on, some of you have seen on the channel, called Yankee Mike. Yankee Mike has a whole bunch of different firearms that hopefully we're going to get our hands on and shoot some more. So I'm going to save a little bit of 45 ammo for some of the videos I've got planning with him. But we're going to go, and I've got 3 more magazines in my back pocket and 1 fully loaded 8-round magazine plus 1 in the chamber. And we're going to go ahead and burn through those and at least give y'all almost a full 100-round review with this gun on this particular day. So, one from here. Left for me anyway. Let's switch it. Let's go for right side, just below his right shoulder, in that area that doesn't have a lot of hits. I'm going to try and put his full magazine right in there. So in this section, I was basically trying to say, I was trying to pick where my target, on the target I was going to hit. I wasn't able to do that as successfully as I hoped I would. The sights, in my opinion, are a little bit off. That's not me making excuses. It's just me saying I think the sights are a little bit off. It's from the factory like that. I don't know what range the factory sighted this pistol in for, and I will probably need to go and take it somewhere and get it sighted for where I usually shoot, which is under 15 yards. So here you couldn't exactly hear what I was saying, but I was basically going and saying that as I ejected that last magazine, that there was a round crunched, or a casing crunched by the slide, and that I didn't have to do any kind of maneuvers to clear it out, that it was nice whenever that just kind of happened like that. Manually clear and rack slide. See if I can put some more rounds on the head. Well, definitely not as accurate as I used to be, or would like to still be, but I think we can all agree at this distance, as many rounds as I put on our target would be going down. And this is kind of stuff that I actually like getting out here and helping train and getting new people to shoot, because for qualifications like I had to do whenever I qualified to work with military, this is honestly some of the distances that you would be shooting at. You'll shoot from a little bit farther back, but the majority of your distances was really, really close, 5 to 7 yards, which you're not going to really even aim at that point. It was more pull, aim with your body, and fire. And that was fun because not a lot of people do a whole lot of shooting like that. But I'm going to grab the camera in just a second, and we're going to go over and we're going to look, and there's some new holes I know I see. And we're going to go and back up, and I'm going to do kind of some final thoughts with this. So, come back over. We are checking out our target once again. I think there's maybe a couple more holes over here, maybe. I know these two weren't there earlier, so I hit him in the arm. That's unfortunate. But we've got a lot more hits down here in the lower abdomen and over here in his center. I think quite a few of these, unfortunately, were flying up higher than I really wanted and hitting his elbow. So I'm not going to entirely blame the gun, but I do know that since I have got this gun and I got it factory new, I haven't had the sights adjusted on it. So I don't really know exactly where they're hitting. I'd like to get them adjusted for me personally, and I'm going to eventually do that once I go and get the Trijicon night sights for these at some point. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with the accuracy. I've had more accurate guns, but out of the box, I think it could do much worse. A little interesting point of fact, I have this old steel stovetop that I usually prop up behind the metal file cabinet, which you guys can see is getting quite shredded at this point. But as I was firing some of those 45s, they were punching right on through this metal file cabinet, knocked over the metal stovetop there, and kept on trucking over that way. And I was seeing some impacts back there at the bottom of the hill over by that tree. And a couple times I saw little limbs getting knocked off of that tree. So if you guys ever wondered, am I safe behind a metal filing cabinet? The answer is no. Not with a 45 firing FMJs. You are not safe. Little tidbit there. So as you guys can kind of notice, I have ended up doing some changes. I've shaved my facial hair. We're doing some more videos over the next little while. We may end up going and doing some other guns, but if I have to go out and utilize the range over at Take Aim Training and Range, we'll end up doing that. But we are going and closing out the video. I hope you guys really liked the Tisas Raider and a second look at that. I hope you guys really enjoyed getting a look at what this thing can do and kind of the accuracy of it. We'll try and do a little bit more accuracy at a later point in time, but thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and the second look at the Tisas Raider. Hope you guys have a nice day.